The stars above Nevada shimmered like broken glass the night the 10th invasion fleet vanished. No wreckage, no Mayherd distress calls, just a sudden, surgical silence that left the deep space arrays humming with static and every general on Earth gripping coffee mugs that cracked from the squeeze. World leaders assumed a secret weapon. Conspiracy channels screamed about a shadow cabal. But in a chalk dust classroom at Nellis AFB, a lanky astrophysicist named Dr. Mara Evers knew better. She had seen the last telemetry packet, a single line of alien script that translated, loosely, to "They have awakened the claws." No one in the briefing knew what the clause was. Mara did. She had written it into a footnote of a war game simulation back in grad school, an ironic failsafe buried inside a procurement algorithm so boring no politician ever read past the abstract. The footnote was only 8 words. If attacked, unleash the full American weird. The aliens, self-named the Celestian Ascendancy, were a crystalline species who measured honor in how perfectly a conqueror's anthem synced with orbital bombardments. They had never lost. They had turned moons into tambourines of subjugation. But every time they pressed the red button on humanity, the button pressed back harder and funnier, and in ways that violated their physics textbooks and their sense of dignity. Fleet 6, for example, had been swallowed by a tornado made entirely of Kansas barns. Fleet 8 arrived in low Earth orbit to find every crew member's reflection had unionized and declared independence. Fleet 9's flagship was repoed by a talking bald eagle the size of Manhattan, who paid in cash and flew it to a secret hangar inside Mount Rushmore's nostril. Each incident was accompanied by a jaunty country riff, audible across every radio frequency, as if the continent itself were humming while it worked. The Ascendancy's supreme strategist, Lord Var of the Resonant Choir, convened the War Sage Council inside a Dyson prism orbiting Proxima. They replayed the final logs in horror. Human voices, not military, not even coordinated, just ordinary citizens who sounded entertained. One clip featured a grandmother in a Florida Publix parking lot waving a foam finger at the sky while an alien gunship was devoured by a swarm of radioactive flamingos. Another showed a Twitch streamer who had weaponized subscriber alerts. Every donation triggered a new, increasingly absurd laws of physics until the invaders' plasma conduits turned into literal jazz trumpets mid-explosion. The council's Ethereum faces flickered purple with shame. They realized they weren't fighting a nation. They were fighting a 250-year-running improv show whose cast was 330 million strong and whose budget was yes and. Back on Earth, Mara Evers caught a red-eye to DC, carrying a thumb drive labeled claws.exe. The security detail tried to confiscate it. The drive politely asked for a lawyer and produced a birth certificate naming it as a sovereign citizen. Agents let it through. In a sub-basement beneath the Pentagon, Mara met the only other person who understood, General Tater Washington, a man who wore cowboy boots with his dress blues because protocol is just another word for coward. Together, they opened the drive. Inside was no code, just an audio file of a child laughing, looped over the sound of a July 4th barbecue. Mara whispered, "It's not a weapon. It's an invitation." The invitation, it turned out, had fine print. Every time a foreign power, ET included, initiated hostilities, the clause hijacked reality's narrative stakes. The rules of storytelling became ballistic. America, collectively, turned into the protagonist, plucky, underestimated, armed with one-liners and a soundtrack.
The more serious the enemy, the more farcical the counterpunch. The claws didn't just defend, it roasted. Invasion fleets became season finales, complete with product placement and viewer polls. Survivors, there were always a few kept as studio audience, were sent home with souvenir t-shirts that read, "I tried to glass the USA, and all I got is this existential crisis." Lord Var, refusing to be a punchline, prepared the ultimate contingency, a planet cracker that operated outside normal space-time, immune to satire. He warped into the solar system cloaked in a narrative void. No music, no color, no memeable content. Silence fell across the continent for the first time in 3 centuries. Citizens looked up, unnerved. Comedians forgot jokes. Even Florida Man paused mid-alligator cannon. Mara and Tater felt the claws flicker. It needed material, an audience, a vibe. So they did the most American thing imaginable. They went live. Every screen, every speaker, every neon bar sign simultaneously broadcast a simple message. Calling all night shift diners, truckers, insomniac poets, and TikTok witches. Bring your weirdest, bring your worst. Bring that thing you were told never to show anybody. We're doing open mic against the apocalypse. What followed was a national jam session that would make the cosmos blush. A garage band in Omaha shredded a power ballad so sincere it bent space-time into a heart shape. A Wyoming rancher lassoed a satellite, tied it to a pickup, and dragged it across the sky like a cosmic cowboy banner. Every high school marching band played different songs at once, but somehow the cacophony resolved into a chord that translated in every alien tongue as, "Nice try, glow sticks." Lord Var launched his planet cracker anyway. The missile emerged into real space and promptly tripped on a marching tuba, face-planted into a giant apple pie that had appeared for no reason, and detonated in a shower of glitter that spelled Episode 250, Series Finale, across the stratosphere. The War Sage Council surrendered, not to the military, but to the viewers. They signed an unconditional ceasefire on the hood of a 1987 Trans Am during a live taping of a Nashville late-night show, breaking for commercials every time someone in the crowd yelled, "Play Freebird!" As part of reparations, the Ascendancy agreed to fund Earth's space program with reality TV royalties, becoming the first interstellar sponsor of a hot dog eating contest on the moon. Mara Evers stood on the National Mall at dawn, watching crystalline ambassadors try to learn the Macarena from a tour guide. Tater handed her a cup of coffee spiked with something that tasted like fireworks. He asked, "Think they'll ever try again?" Mara sipped, eyes reflecting a sky full of alien cruise ships now rebranded as floating waffle houses. She said, "Doesn't matter. The clause isn't in the software anymore. It's in us. It's the moment we decide the story is ours to tell." Somewhere over the Atlantic, a new star blinked, green, white, and flashing a middle finger in Morse code. The continent laughed, turned the volume up, and kept scrolling.
The laughter hadn't even finished echoing across the mall when the sky tore open a second time. No invasion this round, just a polite knock written in auroras. 3 quick pulses of magenta light that spelled, in phonetic English, ahem. Every phone on the planet buzzed with a push notification from an app no one had installed. Galactic Network would like to add you as a contact. Decline was grayed out, except pulsed like a heartbeat. Mara thumbed it before the Pentagon could issue a 12-hour PowerPoint. The screen resolved to a studio, chrome and starlight, where a being made entirely of captions interviewed Lord Var. Lower third read, "Exclusive tell-all. We were clowned by a continent." Ratings ticker underneath scrolled numbers that transcended mathematics. 7 billion viewers, plus 3 billion AIs, plus one sentient laugh track that had achieved Buddha nature during the Pi incident. Mara realized the claws hadn't just defended Earth. It had greenlit the pilot for a multiversal reality show with America as the unkillable protagonist. Focus groups in the Large Magellanic Cloud already shipped spin-offs, Keeping Up with the Carbines, Real Housewives of Roswell, Dancing with the Star Killers. Advertisers wanted merch tie-ins. The first shipment of plush planet crackers arrived at NORAD with a note, "Please review for historical accuracy. Ours tasted like shame and cinnamon." General Tater tried to convene a war council, but the Situation Room had been Airbnb'd by a group of Andromedan spring breakers who mistook the nuclear football for a disco ball. They paid an exposure, literally, a burst of gamma rays that tanned everyone orange and granted the White House press corps temporary X-ray vision. Journalists filed stories titled, "Inside the Oval Office, No Spine Found." Approval ratings somehow went up. Mara, meanwhile, discovered her grad school simulation running on the Galactic Network's main page, autoplaying with unskippable ads. Every time a viewer watched Earth clown another fleet, the algorithm deposited crypto called Freedom Coin into an account flagged under her social security number. Balance? Infinity. She was, by accident, the richest entity in the observable universe. She tried to donate the money to NASA. The money donated itself back with interest and a sticky note that read, "You can't quit the grind, Queen." Across the country, small towns began receiving tourism invites from species who wanted to experience plot armor firsthand. Keokuk, Iowa became the hottest destination for sentient gas clouds seeking authentic high school football. They tailgated in the parking lot, grilling brats over contained fusion, learning to chant USA in frequencies that cured lactose intolerance. The marching band added a flange section for non-corporeal woodwinds, and the field shows now bent into Mobius strips visible from orbit. Every game ended with both teams hoisted on invisible shoulders and told they were loved, which confused the score but healed every teenage insecurity. Yet the clause had fine print nobody read, an escalation rider. The more absurd the defense, the stranger the eventual counter. Network executives, desperate for sweeps, lobbied the ascendancy to bring back the big guns. Ratings demanded stakes. So the Celestine Choir unveiled their secret weapon, a weaponized retcon, a silver eraser the size of Texas, capable of deleting narrative beats from history so thoroughly even memory coughed up blank pages. Test fire? They erased Tuesday. Everyone woke up on Wednesday with hangovers nobody earned, tattoos of days that never existed, and a national craving for tacos that had never been invented. The Galactic Network live-streamed the confusion. Ad revenue quintupled. Mara felt the timeline stretched like taffy. She called Tater at 3 a.m. "They're not trying to conquer us anymore. They're trying to cancel us episode by episode." Tater responded by chartering a Southwest flight to space, open seating, peanuts optional, painting the fuselage with the words, "No spoilers." Passengers included a gospel choir, a troupe of improv comedians, and one bemused alien intern named Kevin who had been assigned to gather character development. At the Carmen line, the plane stalled, doors opened into vacuum, but instead of explosive decompression, the sky inhaled and asked for a beat. The gospel choir launched into a mashup of Amazing Grace and the Star-Spangled Banner, harmony so tight it sewed the Terran Tuesday back on. Improv comics tossed out punchlines that solidified into neon scaffolding, rebuilding the lost calendar like Lego. Kevin took notes whispering, "Humanity doesn't retcon, they riff." Down on Earth, the silver eraser descended, aiming for the heartland. Farmers formed a tractor blockade, but combines bounced off the eraser's surface like jokes off a dad. Just as the tip kissed Iowa corn, every TikTok dance ever recorded synchronized into one macro choreography. The resulting kinetic meme generated a counter frequency that turned the eraser into a giant number 2 pencil, complete with pink pearl eraser head now sporting a tiny U.S. flag. Galactic Network cut to commercial. The ad was a still frame of the pencil captioned, "Write your own ending, cowards." Merchandise sold out in attoseconds. Lord Var, watching ratings spike, experienced an emotion new to his crystalline neurology, respect mixed with fear, mixed with fandom. He requested asylum, not on Earth, but inside the show. He wanted to be a recurring anti-hero with redemption arc potential. The clause obliged. Opening credits next season featured Var in a leather jacket, slow walking away from an explosion of his own hubris. Fan forums exploded with shipping wars, hashtag VarMara, hashtag VarTater, hashtag Var and the pie. Cosplay trends gave humans temporary crystal skin, glitter sales surpassed oil. Yet Mara noticed something darker. Every time they won by being weirder, the universe lost a physical law. Gravity got sarcastic. Objects now fell sideways if they felt ignored. Light began to procrastinate, arriving late to reflections. The speed of sound started taking requests, slowing for dramatic pauses, speeding up for punchlines. Reality itself was becoming a variety hour, and she couldn't find the off switch. She confronted the claws, now embodied as an holographic Uncle Sam wearing shutter shades, demanding to know the exit strategy. Uncle Sam shrugged. "Exit strategies are for Britcoms, kid. We get renewed or we get canceled mid-cliffhanger. Either way, the bit never ends." Mara left the Pentagon basement carrying a duffel bag full of unanswered push notifications. She drove west until the roads turned into suggestions, following the last honest sunset that hadn't yet learned irony. Behind her, billboards already promised next week's episode. Aliens vote home planet off island. Will Earth survive the finale? She floored the accelerator, chasing the horizon like it was a script she could still rewrite, radio blasting a song that hadn't been recorded yet, chorus repeating, "Stay tuned, stay tuned, stay tuned."
The highway bent like a Mobius strip ahead of her, asphalt flickering between blacktop and old Route 66 neon, the dashed lane markers blinking applause signs whenever her tires crossed them. Every mile she drove west, the speed limit signs rewrote themselves in limericks. "If you think you can flee from the show, better check in your rearview for glow. The cliffhanger's king, and the credits won't swing till the fandom says let it all go." She mashed the gas harder. The car, a borrowed '89 Cherokee with mismatched doors, coughed a laugh track and downshifted into a gear labeled Suspense. Outside Winslow, Arizona, the gas pumps greeted her by name through tinny speakers. "Evening, Dr. Evers. Grade us premium or existential." She chose existential. The nozzle sighed with relief and bled liquid starlight into the tank. The price display ran a poll. Would you rather pay dollars, memories, or plot armor? Majority vote, harvested from a line of tourists wearing hashtag Team VAR foam crystals, was memories. A siphon brushed her temporal lobe, tugging a recollection of her 10th birthday party. Gone. She felt lighter, 27 cents cheaper, and vaguely certain she'd never blown out candles again. Inside the station mart, the refrigerator stocked narratives instead of beer. Six-packs labeled Lost Weekends, Unsaid Apologies, Alien Redemption Arcs. She grabbed a cold single of Road Not Taken 0 Calories and twisted the cap. A puff of fog showed her an alternate timeline where she stayed in the Pentagon and became queen of infinite war. She winced, swallowed the story, tasted asphalt and birthday cake she no longer owned. The cashier and a possum in a name tag reading Kevin 2.0
offered a receipt printed on condensed moonlight. Return policy, only if you can outrun the laugh track. She stuffed it in her pocket, where it immediately hot potatoed into her phone and auto-posted a selfie captioned, "Refueling on irony. See you never, maybe." Likes rolled in from 3 galaxies. Back on the road, the Cherokee's radio refused FM. Every preset now hosted the Galactic Raiders Room live feed. Showrunners pitched next season over open mics. What if Nebraska becomes sentient? Give the moon an OnlyFans. A studio exec pitched erasing color to save budget. The speed of light, still taking requests, ducked out of the call. Mara white-knuckled the wheel, feeling the continent rearrange under her like a script scrambling for a new act break. Mountains swapped places when she blinked. Rivers rewound to source code. Somewhere near Flagstaff, the Colorado Plateau rose 30 feet, shrugged, and settled again, muttering, "Better angle for merchandising." She exited onto a dirt track that GPS labeled unincorporated plot hole. Dust plumes chased her like stagehands, desperate for cues. The trail ended at a chain-link fence, patched with billboard scraps. Closed set. Do not feed the continuity. Beyond it loomed the very large array, radio dishes tilted toward drama overhead. Each antenna vibrated, emitting soap opera organ chords. She slipped through a cut section, edges still dripping latex scenery, and crossed into the central control building, half expecting a laugh track to spritz her with confetti. Inside, rows of monitors displayed Earth from every directorial angle. Drone shots, crane sweeps, satellite close-ups complete with lens flares drawn on by Sharpies of physics. A single swivel chair spun to greet her. Occupant, Uncle Sam hologram, now wearing a hoodie that read, "Showrunner in Chief." His shutter shades scrolled Nielsen ratings where pupils should be. "Viewers love the chase, Doc, but season arcs demand sacrifice. Ever read Greek tragedy? We're at the Hub Discount Double Check." Mara slammed her duffel on a console. Unanswered notifications fluttered out like moths, each glowing push text begging her to come back to the writer's room. "I'm done writing your punch-ups. Reality's bleeding laws faster than we can meme them. Give me the kill switch." Uncle Sam flickered, code glitching into a 1950s serial mascot. "Kill switch is season 5 material. Focus groups say audiences prefer moral ambiguity." He tossed her a tablet loaded with future episode thumbnails. Earth filing for divorce from the solar system. VAR hosting SNL. The speed of light caught doping. She swiped. Every swipe rewrote constellations outside the window. She noticed a terminal labeled unused footage. Inside, raw clips of normal Tuesdays, people commuting, unpaid bills, quiet sunsets unaccompanied by kazoo soundtracks. Boring, beautiful, pre-irony. She dragged a clip onto the live feed, ratings plummeted in real time, Galactic Network threatening ad polls. Uncle Sam's outline jittered. "You can't air that. It's sincere." She cued more sincerity. Kids learning to ride bikes, dads burning dinner, crickets performing unpaid. The feed's ticker spiraled into negatives. Dishes outside slowed their soap opera organs, dialing toward hush. A klaxon barked, "Sponsor revolt." Brand logos rained across monitors like angry confetti, each demanding zanier stakes. One by one dishes pivoted toward Mara, aiming parabolic accusation. She felt gravity remember sarcasm, tugging her knees toward apology. Uncle Sam loomed, pixelating into 1950s founding father filter. "Last chance. Pitch me a finale, or the show pitches you into the cutting room void." Mara inhaled the last of her unironic oxygen, thought of birthday cake she'd never taste again, and pitched, "How about a bottle episode? Just one honest day where nobody gets vaporized, no punchlines, no sponsorships. Viewers hate it now, love it later in reruns. Call it maturity." Uncle Sam froze, algorithm buffering. Outside, dishes stilled. Even the Milky Way paused mid-spin, waiting for the focus group graphs to render. Somewhere beyond ad space, a single cricket chirped. Unpaid, uncompressed, live.
The cricket's chirp looped once, pure, uncompressed, then split into a billion headphones, car stereos, stadium amps, and alien cranial implants across every arm of the spiral. For one heartbeat, the entire galactic network carried a signal with zero jokes, zero product placement, zero bass-boosted explosions. Ratings flatlined, advertisers shrieked, stock and irony plummeted faster than Fleet 6 into that Kansas barn tornado. Uncle Sam's hologram glitched static, shades cracking like cheap neon. He reached for the kill switch, but the switch had rusted into a cicada shell, empty, hollow, done. Outside, the very large array dishes tilted straight up, forming a cathedral of antennae. They didn't transmit, they listened. Earth's atmosphere exhaled a single sentence in every language, plus the ones crystals sing. We can choose quiet. Continents stopped rewriting themselves. Gravity quit sarcasm, pulled only down, gently. The silver retcon eraser floating above Iowa shimmered, then dissolved into snowfall that spelled plain lowercase sorry across every windshield. In the silence, people stepped onto porches, subway platforms, prison yards, and moon bases, hearing only their own pulse. No laugh track, no sponsorship sting. Someone in Atlanta laughed anyway, authentic. Then someone in Lagos cried. Then someone on Mars hummed a lullaby their grandmother never copyrighted. The sounds braided into an open-source heartbeat that streamed nowhere and everywhere at once. Lord Var landed in the parking lot, crystals dulled to glass. He knelt, pressed an ear to the asphalt, and heard asphalt. No anthem, no ratings, just the planet being a planet. He whispered, "We came to conquer the punchline, but the joke was us." Mara stepped out, offered him the duffel now empty of notifications. He took it, stuffed every cancelled invasion plan inside, zipped it shut like a body bag for hubris. Above them, the sky brightened, not with ships, but with ordinary sunrise. No cliffhanger, no post-credit teaser, just light on faces that remembered boredom, longing, Tuesday. The galactic feed cut to black. The black held for 3 full seconds, an eternity in showbiz. Then displayed one line, "Series complete, go outside." And every screen, from Times Square to the edge of the heliosphere, went dark. Earth spun on, unscripted.